بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this live episode of Ask Huda, coming to you every Sunday and Tuesday at this particular time. I'm filling up for Dr. Muhammad Salah, and my name is Assim Al-Hakeem. We are more than privileged to accept your calls and try to answer whatever comes our way. Mehwish from the US. Mehwish? I don't hear. Mehwish? Okay, Muhammad from the Philippines.
Okay.
Muhammad?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm doing great, alhamdulillah.
So, I have two questions, Sheikh. My first question, Sheikh, is, Sheikh, most of the time when I have assignments or if we need to study because exams or exams is near, I procrastinate because I think there is still age time left and sometimes I get lazy. So, am I sinful for procrastinating my studies, Sheikh? And my second question, Sheikh, is, Sheikh, can you demonstrate how to do ruqya without using of water, when you drink?
What do you mean by demonstrate ruqya on water? I do not understand.
Sheikh, you can also do ruqya without drinking the water.
Okay.
When you blow your body, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.
You do not blow your body, then you will be a suicide bomber. But you blow in your hands, and I will explain how you do that, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh.
Barakallahu feekum. So, Ishraq from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have two questions. One
Yeah.
question is that we know that wearing gold is prohibited for men. I bought a watch recently. On the outside, it's silver in color. And upon getting home, I was just fiddling with the watch, and I saw that one of the moving parts inside, it's a mechanical watch. One of the moving parts inside is gold in color. So I am not sure whether it's gold plated or it's a gold metal or whatsoever. So now my question is that will I be able to wear it given that it's one small part, and if I'm not able to wear it, will I be able to sell the watch?
How much did you pay for it? Is it an expensive watch, a brand name?
Because I got it at an antique shop and it's a used watch, so I did not pay a big amount, but it has a brand name.
Okay, and what's your second question?
My second question is, Sheikh, if let's say someone has some najasa on the private parts, let's say if it's urine or mazi, and let's say if it dries up, when we are washing it, do we have to rub, or just pouring water is enough? And if we get splashes from this afterwards, from hitting the toilet bowl and back to our bodies, is that something we have to wash, or is the water enough to overwhelm the dried najasa on the private parts?
I will answer you, inshallah. Nusra from Turkey.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I have three questions for you.
Well, 3 questions are a lot, but yallah, I'm suffering when I take more than one question. Let's go ahead. Number 1.
Okay, Sheikh. Surah Al-Ahzab.
Surat?
The guidelines. Al-Ahzab.
Okay.
Ayah 33, where Allah instructs women to stay home. I wanted to ask the guidelines for that. Like staying home, like due to necessity if you want to go out.
Okay.
Okay, and for covering the chin, the second covering chin, under the chin and at the start of the neck for women, do they have to cover that?
Okay.
And today my mom asked me to wipe the bottom of a plant, but I told her that I didn't want to touch it because she was using cow manure for the plants. And I didn't want to touch it, so I said I didn't want to, and she got angry at me. So, but she forgave me after like a few, not even minutes.
Why
I
didn't
asked if I was sinful for that.
Why didn't you want to touch cow's manure?
It was, I didn't have anything on my hands, and it was like disgusting.
Ah, but you know that it is not najis. You did not know that. Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Sister Fatima from the US. Fatima? I don't think we have Fatima. Who else?
Yeah.
Okay, Fatima?
Yes.
Yes, what's your question?
My question is, can a father who does not pray be a wali for his daughter's marriage?
Okay. I will answer, inshallah. Abdul Hamid from the UK.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Now,
Yes, Abdul Hamid.
can I speak to the Sheikh?
I'm talking to you, Akhi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam
How
tullah.
are you? Sorry, I didn't realize I'm online.
No problem, Akhi. What can I do for you?
Yeah. The question is, I just need an advice on something. In my family, alhamdulillah, attempt to be the only practicing Muslim. However, I created a strong Islamic presence amongst my family, so much so that I made them understand that birthday celebration is not Islamic tradition. So I'm trying to pass this on to my kids and my wife, but obviously my wife is a bit stubborn, astaghfirullah. But my kids, I don't want people sort of wish them happy birthday and taking them out for birthdays. I just need a hikmah or advice on how I can stop this, because I'm just building a strong Islamic presence in my family, basically. Actually, my second question I forgot, but I heard you said you're suffering for more than one question, but I'll just leave it that way.
No, so your first question is how to convince your children that birthdays are not Islamic?
Yes.
Okay, no problem, inshallah.
Jazakumullah.
Wa jazakum. Fahad from Saudi.
Yes, Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, I have two questions. My first question is that I follow the view of Sheikh Ibn Moon and also your view that there is no set limit of days for traveling.
There is what?
My question is that
There is what?
there is no set limit of days of travelers. Like you can shorten your
Okay.
prayers after 3 days as well.
Okay.
So my question is that I'm going to Canada. The Sheikh Ibn Saying, he said that it is permissible even if it's for more than a year. So my question is that I'm going to Canada and I, well, like 100% I'm planning on coming back to Saudi Arabia. So my question is, I'm going there for 3 or 4 years. Can I still shorten my prayers if I'm 100% set on coming back?
Okay, I will answer,
And,
inshallah. More questions?
Yes, one more.
Yes.
My second question is that on Twitter you said someone asked you, can we eat any meat in the UK, and you said that it's permissible because it's majority Christian. So I wanted you to, can you please explain it a little bit more so that I can be 100% sure. In Canada, can I eat any meat, like as long as it's chicken or beef?
Okay, I will answer, inshallah. Mahwish from the US.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Question 1. Why is it allowed to marry cousins in Islam when science tells us that the child could potentially be abnormal?
Okay.
Question number 2. Should a man who is homosexual get married if he's afraid that he won't be able to satisfy his wife? جزاكم الله خيرا.
وجزاكم. We have Mahmoud from Australia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah barakatuh.
I just wanted to ask about Surah 9, verse 5, where it says that when the sacred months have passed, kill the polytheists. Is this talking about those who broke their treaties?
Okay. I will answer inshallah. Okay. الطيب from the UK.
I give it to you. I give it to you.
يا طيب.
Hello.
I did not get anything أخي. طيب.
I would like to know if parrots with talons are they halal?
If what?
Parrots with talons.
What is that?
Like Amazon parrots.
Okay, to eat them?
No, to have them as a pet.
Okay, no problem inshallah in that. You can have parrots.
And are their feces impure?
No, their feces are pure inshallah. Don't eat it though. No, parrots, raising parrots as pets is permissible, and any bird that we are permitted to eat their meat if slaughtered, or also feces and droppings are pure without any problem. Okay? How do you spell that? Okay, caught from the US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah. Is the spelling right? C-O-T-T?
Yes, S-C-O-T, like Scotland.
Scott. I had the C without an S. Okay, Scott.
Yes, if I slaughter an animal like a chicken, a smaller animal, and I accidentally decapitate it, if I cut too deep, is the animal still no good or on to eat?
So let me get your question correctly. There's a chicken, and you decapitate it by cutting the head off with a samurai sword or whatever. Is this your question?
No, if I'm slaughtering it and I accidentally cut too deep.
Okay.
Like if I'm cutting a smaller bird, this happens sometimes.
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Ismail from the US.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh, ya Sheikh.
Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ya Sheikh, I have two questions.
Fire away.
First question is hugging 3 times on Eid from the Sunnah, right, left, and then right?
Having what?
Hugging on Eid 3 times.
Hugging?
Is it from the Sunnah?
Hugging, okay.
Yes, Sheikh. Now, the second question is ruling on Muslim YouTubers if they use vocals instead of video in the videos instead of background music with instruments. Is it okay to use the vocals?
Okay.
Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh.
Wa jazakum. Hayyakallah akhi. Iman from Australia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
I
was just a bit confused the past couple of days, just in regards to whether or not my husband's divorced me. We just had a bit of a statement amongst each other, a bit of a wording, where I was mainly doing the talking, and then he just kind of agreed with it. So it kind of felt like an implicit statement. So I just become a bit confused. But he's adamant that his intention wasn't to divorce or anything like that. And then I had a bit of a text message with him. So I messaged him just to confirm if he meant what he said. And then he said, yes, just in a sarcastic way, where he was like, isn't that what you were praying for? So I just wanted to know whether or not I'm divorced or not.
And do you want to be divorced?
No.
Don't you think you're overdoing it by opening a can of worms? When you keep on pushing it, and asking and texting and asking the Sheikh, and maybe I'm the 6th or 7th person you ask?
Yeah.
Okay, I will answer inshallah. Zainuddin from the UK.
Ya Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you're doing well. So you're getting
wa
old.
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And it doesn't seem that you're getting any younger, Zainuddin.
Well, everyone gets all the time, but subhanAllah, but you still look.
I'm talking about you. You're not getting younger. I'm getting older. Anyhow, what's your question?
Sheikh Asim.
Yes.
How's life?
Sure.
I've got a couple of questions where I ask because this is Huda TV, not Dad.
Okay.
So the first thing is, can you please explain one of the hadiths? I would like you to explain one of the ahadith in the Sunnah that talks about the mutashattaqoon and al-mutafayyiqoon.
Okay.
Do you know this hadith?
Luckily for you, I do.
Can you read? Do you mind explaining it to me? Because it says that the talk. It acts as one person who was explaining it. I know. Not everything someone says is authentic. The person stating this fact said that this refers to the talkative individual. But does it refer to those who remind people of talk arrogantly and remind people of their as if they're greater and everyone else is bottom?
Okay. Number 2.
Question 2. They're going to be short, don't worry, so don't think I'm going to waste your time because we've got lots of callers. Second question is regarding, am I sinful if I allow one of my younger siblings to download apps that involve women coloring pages or women in general, like Kardashians, etc.?
So what's your role in him doing that?
So imagine this: they come and consent to you to place a installment for one of their apps. This app, however, involves women.
Yes. So what is Zain? What is your involvement in this? Are you the one who's paying for it? Are you the one who's lending him your internet to download it?
I think you should be saying her because men would not be able to do that. Her. I'm not lending her any money to do it. It's free app.
So what's your involvement?
For my consent and it's for my laptop.
Okay. I will answer you, inshallah. Omar from Canada. Salamatullah.
Okay, Sheikh, I got 2 questions, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my first question is, I have a friend, anytime I call him and I do the 9 yard of Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, he also replied the short way, but then later he sent me a voice message and asking me, oh, why do I ask Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh? Because he has asked some other ulama and they said that ta'ala wa barakatuh is not, it's not allowed for some reason, I don't know. Please, can you clarify that? And my second question is, I got a sister who has two boys. And my dad and my mom have passed away. Can I take care of his kids in madrasa for the Quranic, etc., Quranic school, and as for the reward to go to my mother and my father? Jazakallah khairan.
Wa jazakum. Baha from the Netherlands. Baha.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hi. I hope you're doing well. My question is, are we allowed to vote in a democratic country where there are groups?
Are we allowed to what?
Are we allowed to vote in a democratic country where there are groups?
I will answer, inshallah.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is all the questioners we have. So we begin from number 1. Mehwish from the US. She says, why is it permissible to marry one's cousin if science disapproves of it, or at least this does not recommend it, due to the possible genetic diseases that may be caused of such a marriage? Firstly, Islam is a divine religion. It is from Allah Azza wa Jal. And generally speaking, it does not go against science. But throughout the years, we've discovered that science is not always right. And so many theories that come up only to be proven after a few decades that they're totally bogus or wrong. And the theory of evolution is one of the closest and simplest ideas of its how bogus people are and how atheists mess up with people's minds, claiming to be scientific when it's baseless and ridiculous even. But this is not the time to address such an issue. Therefore, when science comes and says cousins must not get married to one another, we do not look at science and neglect our own religion. So we look in the Quran, it doesn't say anything about that. We look into the Sunnah, there's no prohibition, none whatsoever about that. On the contrary, we find that the Prophet himself, alayhi salatu wasalam, married his cousin, Zainab bin Jahsh, the mother of the believers, may Allah be pleased with her. If there was anything wrong, he would not have done that. Or Allah would have told us that this is not recommended. Not only that, he gave his own daughter, Fatima, to his own cousin, Ali ibn Abi Talib. And they have the best of families existing till date, with so many offsprings of theirs, healthy and sound. He also gave Zainab, his own daughter, the daughter of Muhammad, to her cousin, Abu al-As ibn al-Rabi'. And they were all their maternal cousins. So the whole of Islamic history has nothing against cousins marrying one another. So when science comes and says, oops, this is not recommended, this is not permissible or advisable, we, with all due respect, throw it in the dustbin. They say, oh, you will be responsible for any genetic diseases that come. Well, we've seen total strangers marrying from the East and the West, having children with genetic diseases. So this is not a criteria that you can judge by, and this is why we ignore it. Second question of Mehwish, a homosexual who is unable to satisfy his wife, would it be permissible for him to get married? The answer is, if he's impotent, meaning that he's unable to fulfill his wife's desires due to his impotency, in incapacity, inability to do so, in this case, he's not permitted to get married unless he gives the family he's getting married to a heads up. So before they proceed, he would go and say, listen, guys, this person proposing is impotent, cannot fulfill his wife's sexual rights. He cannot do that. If they accept, okay, this is okay. This is her choice, her preference. But if not, then it is not permissible for him to conceal that and to hide his deficiency and not tell them. Muhammad from the Philippines, he says, while studying for uni or for high school or whatever, if I am lazy and I always delay my studies and say, oh no, I have still 1 week to go, I have 2 days, I have 1 day, am I sinful? The answer is no. This is not a religious thing, but this might be a little bit careless from your side, to use an acceptable description. Others would use something like stupid, but I would not use that with you. So it would be careless for you to delay tasks that you should be doing immediately. A Muslim perfects whatever he does. This is in our genes. This is in our religion. Inna Allah yuhibbu, Allah loves when one of you performs a task that he perfects it. So even if I go and play sports, I'd like to be the first in my patch. I'd like to always win my games. If I work, I'd like to excel in my job. If I study, I'd like to be an A+ student, and so forth. Because whatever you do, this is attributed to this individual in front of me. So if I'm a good athlete, they'll say, wow, mashallah, this guy plays good sports. Oh, he's bearded. Oh, then he's a Muslim. So it is affiliated with Islam. But if I do bad in exams, or I am a bad performer in my job, they wouldn't say Asim is bad. They would say, oh, this mutawwir, this Muslim is bad in his job. He spends 6 hours praying and 2 hours working. And this tarnishes the reputation of Islam. Secondly, his question was, how do we perform ruqyah without water? If you have something that aches you in your body, let's assume my shoulder, the sunnah, as in the hadith of Uthman ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet said to him, put your hand where it aches from your body, say 3 times, Bismillah, 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 A'udhu billahi wa qudratihi min sharri ma ajidu wa uhadir. 7 times. And in another narration, A'udhu bi'izzatillahi wa qudratihi. But the one in Sahih Imam Muslim is more authentic. A'udhu billahi wa qudratihi min sharri ma ajidu wa uhadir. 7 times. Another way of doing ruqyah is to recite Al-Fatiha, Ayat Al-Kursi, the last 3 quls. If you add to that the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, you recite them. قل هو الله أحد قل هو الفلق رب الناس الحمد لله رب العالمين. And then you blow in your hands like this, dry spit. There's no saliva in it. It's just blowing like this. And then you wipe over the area that you have this illness in. This is how you do it, and Allah knows best. Ishraq from Bangladesh, she says, I bought an antique watch, and I noticed that there is a golden hand, as it's an automatic mechanical watch. And I don't know if it's real gold or not. So I asked him, is it a brand name? He said, it's an antique, but it's of some value. Akhi, if it's something like a Rolex or Cartier or something that you have to pay a hand and an arm or a leg to get, most likely this is gold. You can tell by taking it to the agency and ask them. Or you can browse the internet for the specs of this watch, and it will tell you. If it's not, and you find out that there's no gold, it's only plated, it's not real gold, there's no problem in wearing it. Otherwise, you have to dispose of it. He says, if I have a dry impurity on my private part, would I have to rub it off, or is washing it sufficient? Usually, washing it is sufficient. But the essence of washing it is to remove the impurity. If it still remains and it's not removed, then you have to rub it. But if washing it, and usually this is sufficient, would do the job, there is no need to rub it off. Nusra from Turkey, she says, in Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah says to the mothers of the believers, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنْ. So what does this mean? So verse 33, chapter 33, Allah addresses the mothers of the believers to stay home. And they used to do that until the Prophet ﷺ abrogated this ruling by telling them that Allah has permitted you to go and do your errands, answer the call of nature, do what is needed to go out. So they used to go out. This ayah highly recommends that women stay home because this is their safe haven with their spouses, with the children, with their family, and not to go out unless there's a necessity, such as attending school, going to the hospital, shopping, visiting friends or relatives, something that they have a need for. One would ask, okay, so what is wrong in what people are doing nowadays? No. The way women are getting out of the home every single day. Why? They're fed up. So they go to malls, not to buy anything, just to wander around. And they have to stay like 6-7 hours out of the house every single day just for the sake of staying out of the house. This is not permissible. This is not part of the sunnah. And one would say, okay, why men do this? Men do this out of necessity, to work, to earn, to put food on the table, and to do what is needed to be done. And this is why usually the man's place is out of the home and the woman's place is inside the home. So this is something that Muslim women should balance. Her second question is, should we cover the this area or not? Now, the lower part of your jaw, your face must be covered. Lots of the women tend to put their cover up to this area, which exposes what's beneath their chin. And this is part of the neck, and this is not permissible. It has to be covered, so the whole face, the face that faces people, is uncovered. Whatever that does not face the people, which is this area here, the neck or the chin underneath, it must be covered. And finally, she said to her mom that she doesn't want to water the plant because she does not want to touch the cow's manure. And she thought that this was impure. And we've said this so many times. The feces and the urine of animals that we are allowed to eat the meat, this waste and droppings is pure. Not that I'm encouraging you to go and dip your hands and wash your faces with it. This is disgusting. But what I'm saying is that the misconception that people have that this is najis and it's like dog crap or like cat urine. These are najis. You have to wash. You cannot pray with this. No, the feces or the droppings of cows, camels, of sheep, of goats, of chicken, all of these are pure and does not impact your purity. And I hope this answers your question. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah, we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Fatima from the US says, can a father who does not pray become a wali of a woman in her marriage? This is a very wide topic to discuss, whether this is before the marriage or after the marriage, whether the father is proven not to pray and he was labeled as a person who does not pray or not. What does that mean? The default in Islam is that the guardian has to be a Muslim. So if a person is not a Muslim, he cannot be the guardian of his daughter. For example, a woman who was Christian, accepted Islam, someone wants to marry her, her father, who's a Christian, cannot be her guardian because he's a disbeliever. And the difference of religion blocks the guardianship. Likewise, a person who does not pray, and when asked to pray, he says, I don't believe in prayer, I don't pray. And he never prostrates a single prostration, despite the number of people talking to him and trying to convince him. The Islamic center's imam, the judges, he doesn't want to pray. This guy is a blatant kafir, is an apostate. He cannot be the guardian of a woman in marriage. But if a person doesn't pray, and when he asked, why don't you pray? He said, I know prayer is valid and it's mandatory and it's obligatory, but I'm lazy. Yeah, wallah, I should pray, inshallah. And he prays on and off, maybe a Friday every now and then. Maybe he prays when people come to his house, or he goes to people's house and they pray Maghrib, he prays with them. Such a person is not labeled. He's not confirmed to be a disbeliever because he prays on and off. And it was not proven in front of a court of law or panel of judges or scholars that he's a kafir. Therefore, he can be the guardian. Abdul Hamid from the UK, he says, I'm the only one practicing in my family, and I'm trying to push Sharia inside my own family, and I'm doing a good job, inshallah. However, I find it difficult to convince my children, and I don't know what's the most appropriate way to convince my children not to practice birthdays. Especially my parents, my siblings may congratulate them, may send them gifts, may try to throw a party, which I totally disagree with. Akhi, this requires a lecture. And a couple of weeks ago, I did a lecture for one of the Islamic centers in Holland, and it was about how does a Muslim practice his religion in the West, in non-Muslim countries. So it's on my YouTube. You can find it there, inshallah, and it should be beneficial. In a nutshell, all the disbelieving countries have one target, one objective in mind, and that is to get you out of your religion. As Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned in the Quran in many places. So we don't have to establish this because this is already an established fact. Now, their severity of such attempts differ from one country to the other. Nevertheless, their main objective is to strip you out of your Islamic identity. And this is obvious. When they fight the hijab, when they fight anything that seems to indicate that you're a Muslim, when they force co-education and prohibit segregation, when they fight any teachings of Islam, even in masjids, in your own houses of worship, they come and confiscate it and close the masjid and do whatever they want with the imam. Why? Because he's teaching the Quran or the Sunnah. And this is blatant enmity and hatred to Islam. This is a well-known fact. So what to do? Your number one priority is to instill and insert and implant in your children's heart the Muslim identity. We are different. We're not like them. We're Muslims. We worship one Lord. We believe in Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. We have our honor. We have our dress code. We have our set of rules that we embrace and implement in our lives. When they know that they're different, when they sense that they're different, they would refrain from being melted in the same melting pot. They'll have their own identity and they'll be proud of being Muslims. They fast when everybody's eating and drinking. They halt whatever they're doing to go and offer the prayer and come back. And people identify them due to their identity. When you succeed in doing this, when you tell them that birthdays is not part of our culture, it's part of the disbelievers' culture and way of life, it makes things much easier and more closer to their common sense. They relate to it because, okay, so if it's against my religion, I'm fine with that. Unlike when they are with everybody else. Everybody else is celebrating it. Why not us? Why don't we have a cake? Why don't we have candles? Why don't we have happy birthday to you? Now they can relate to this and understand. Fahad from Saudi Arabia, he says that I follow the opinion of Sheikh ibn Uthaymeen, which previously was the opinion of Sheikh ibn Taymiyyah and ibn Qayyim. which is according to the Quran and Sunnah, that there is no limit for the days you spend for shortening your prayer when traveling. So he says, if I'm going to Canada for 4 years and I know exactly what month and date I'm coming after 4 years, can I shorten my prayer? The answer is definitely not. Regardless of who says you can. It is definitely not. Why? Akhi, Allah Azza wa Jal gave you the concession of shortening your prayer if you're a traveler. I'm in Egypt and I'm here for 2 weeks. So when anyone calls my home back in Saudi, they will say, Asim is traveling. So I am a traveler. Therefore, I shorten all of my prayers. I have no problem in that. But if I go for a job or to do my master's or PhD or for any reason to the UK, for example, and I get an apartment, it's furnished, so I know where I'm living and staying, I put food in the fridge, so now I am settled. This may take a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, but now I'm settled. I know what time exactly I have to go to the masjid and when to come back and when to wake up for tahajjud. And I'm acquainted with the surroundings and I'm settled. Now I cannot shorten or combine. Why? Because I have settled. But those who travel, whether they know when they're coming back or not, yet they are still on the move, always on the move, not settled. Maybe from one state to the other, to the third, maybe from one house to the other every couple of days or couple of weeks. They're not settled yet. Yes, they shorten. The moment they settle and they feel home, this is when they must complete. Mahmoud from Australia, he says, chapter 9, verse 5, is it about killing those who had a treaty that was time bound? The answer is yes. There was a treaty between the Prophet ﷺ and the disbelievers after the conquest of Mecca. And the Prophet fairly gave them 4 months to roam around and do whatever they want and think it over. If they find that Islam is the best for them, they accept Islam. If not, they should leave the whole Arabian Peninsula and go elsewhere, because if they were to be found after 4 months, they will be killed. So that was specifically to those people, because other places in the Quran, it tells us that we should not have fights and jihad with those who do not fight us or oppress us or try to kick us out of our lands. Rather, we should treat them kindly and nicely. Scott from the US, he says, if I, while slaughtering a bird or an animal, I go further than what I'm supposed to do. So the Islamic way of slaughtering a bird or an animal is to cut the windpipe and the 2 veins. So the windpipe and the pipe that goes suffix, I don't know what's called, I always forget it. I have to have it in writing to remember it. That takes the food to your stomach, and the 2 veins by the side. These are the Sunnah ways of slaughtering. But if someone exceeds that and maybe by mistake or deliberately cuts the whole neck and decapitates the whole head, this is halal. Is it according to the Sunnah? No, it's not. But still, this does not render whatever you're slaughtering to be haram. It's totally halal. Ismail from the US, he says we have a custom that on Eid, we hug one another, embrace one another. So one on the right, one on the left, another one on the right. Is this from the Sunnah? The answer is no. This is not from the Sunnah. His second question, he says, when I make videos, some people put music in the background. Others put vocals. What is meant by vocals? This is what we call nasheed. So if we have vocals at the background, is this halal or haram? If it's normal vocals that humans do, like humming, this is one way of doing it, humming. It sounds nice, but with my voice, I think nobody's going to watch this. But nevertheless, it's humming, it's vocals. Is it halal or haram? If it is known to be vocals and it does not have the same impact as music, like the a cappellas, this is music. You get 8 tracks or 16 tracks of the same person or different people, each making a particular sound with the beat, with the bass, with the whatever, and the conclusion is it's the same impact and effect that the normal song had. So if someone does a cappella of Billie Jean for MJ, for example, and it's the same impact of the song. So, oh Sheikh, but there's no musical instruments, it's haram. Sheikh, there's no musical instruments, it has the same impact. So this is why sometimes beatboxing would be haram. No musical instrument, but you have the same beat and you have the same impact of drums, etc. Therefore, it becomes haram. So normal vocals, normal humming sounds that do not let or get you the same sensation you have when you're listening to an orchestra or a symphony or the likes, there is no problem in that, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. Iman from Australia, she says that her husband said something. So basically speaking, lots of the women do this. They keep on nagging their husbands. You're not a man, you can't divorce me, you do this. And the guy is, building up pressure. He's not responding. And after 6 or 7 hours of nagging and banging the doors and throwing things over, insulting him and cursing his parents and his loved ones, he says, okay, I divorce you. She breaks down and cries. After all these years, you divorce me? Damn if you do, damn if you don't. You've been nagging for the past 10 hours to divorce you. Now when I divorce you, you cry? This is how women are made. And I'll wait for your hate mails accusing me of being a male chauvinist pig. No problem. But unfortunately, this is how women react. You keep on pushing. You're saying, you want to divorce me, don't you? This is what you want. You always wanted to divorce me. You never loved me before. At the end of the day, he says, yes. You've divorced me. How dare you? I didn't divorce you. I didn't intend to. So she sends him a message. So she's opening a can of worms. And then she's asking, this is not how it works. If he divorced you, he goes to the Islamic center and talks to the imam or to the Muslim court and talks to the judge or to someone who would give him a fatwa after listening from him and acquiring the proper knowledge from him, not from the woman ever, because she's not in a position to state whether the divorce took place or not. It's the man who asks. Zain ad-Din, he says, what is al-mutafayhiqun wal-mutashaddiqun? It is those who speak in an artificial way, like when people from the UK speak in a very posh way, in like the Queen's English, and they speak and articulate particular words in a way that would give the impression that they, what are you doing? This is what they're trying to do, to impress people with words, with things that it's not them. And they use difficult words and they use this and that just to show off. His second question, would I be sinful for giving my sister my laptop to download haram things? The answer is yes. Omar from Canada, he says, his friend says, when you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, this is an innovation. This is not true. Ta'ala is one of the attributes or the description of Allah Azza wa Jal. And the full salam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, this is totally from the Sunnah. Anyone claiming that it is an innovation is an ignorant imbecile. His 2 nephews will study Quran at school in a madrasa. He wants to support and provide for them because they're orphans most likely, and he wants the reward for the money he's giving to reach his deceased parents. Is this possible? This is totally possible. Finally, Baha from the Netherlands, he said, can we vote in a democratic country? Akhi, voting is not Islamic. So it's not permissible for Muslims to vote unless they are in a situation where their voice, where their vote would make a difference between selecting the lesser of two evils. So if we have a Muslim who's trying to promote some part of Sharia, or who would endorse the affairs of the Muslims against someone who is anti-Islamic, and if we say in that country we're not going to vote, there's a probability that the anti-Islamist would win. No, you have to. It's almost mandatory for you to vote, though you hate voting and the process because it's totally against Islam. But it is like amputating part of your body to save the whole body. This is something that is done to reduce the evil and to choose the lesser of the two evils, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have until we meet Tuesday, 2 days from now. I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in